Have you ever looked at a woman you cared about and wondered why she seemed warm one day, distant the next, impossible to read no matter how much effort you gave? Have you ever replayed conversations in your head, trying to figure out what you missed, why she stopped texting first, why she seemed interested but never fully committed? Maybe you tried being nicer, maybe you tried being more available, maybe you tried harder than ever, and somehow the more you gave, the less certain you felt. You watched other men attract attention without seeming to work for it. Meanwhile, you kept asking yourself the same painful question: what am I doing wrong? I'm glad you're here, because I'm going to show you something most men never learn. I'm here on the Stoic Way, where we uncover the real psychology that creates desire. And I'll warn you now, the final one is incredibly powerful. It can change everything fast, and almost no one uses it correctly. Before we begin, understand this. This was never your fault. Nobody taught you this. Most men believe attraction is created through effort alone. More messages, more compliments, more availability. But attraction doesn't work that way. The problem was never that you weren't good enough. The problem was that you were trying to solve an emotional puzzle with logical effort. Women don't fall deeply in love because a man checks every box. They fall deeply in love because of how they feel when they're around him. That feeling happens beneath conscious awareness, beneath words, beneath logic. And once you understand the hidden signals women naturally respond to, something changes. You stop chasing. You stop performing. You stop wondering where you stand. Instead, you become the kind of man women want to move toward. Let's start with a simple truth from psychology. Human beings make decisions emotionally and justify them logically afterward. Evolutionary psychology shows us that attraction often begins through subconscious scanning, mental shortcuts, emotional impressions, tiny patterns the conscious mind barely notices. A woman may tell herself she likes a man because he's funny or successful, but underneath that explanation, deeper signals are operating. Signals of safety, strength, presence, connection, mystery. The 7 things women do when they truly love you are not random behaviors. They're responses to emotional experiences. And understanding those experiences changes everything. The first thing women do when they love you madly is this: they relax around your masculine presence. Notice I didn't say looks. I didn't say money. I said presence. Masculine presence is grounded energy. It's emotional steadiness. It's the feeling that you're comfortable in your own skin. When a woman deeply loves a man, she naturally begins dropping her guard around him. Her voice softens. Her body language opens. She stops trying to impress. She simply wants to be near him. Why? Because his energy feels stable. Imagine you're sitting across from her. Everyone around you is talking loudly. People are competing for attention. But you're calm. You're listening. You're centered. You don't need validation from the room. Over time, she begins associating you with peace. That's powerful. Grounded energy is magnetic. The second thing women do when they love you deeply is they seek emotional challenge. This surprises many men because they assume love means constant agreement. It doesn't. Attraction needs polarity. It needs contrast. A woman who loves you doesn't want a robot. She wants a man who can smile and challenge her playfully. A man who isn't afraid to disagree respectfully. A man who has his own opinions. When you lightly tease her about always being 5 minutes late, and she laughs instead of getting offended, something important is happening. She's enjoying the tension, the playfulness, the emotional movement. That creates energy, and energy creates attraction. Never become predictable approval. Be playful strength. The third thing women do when they love you is they begin competing for your attention. Not because they're insecure, because attention has value. One of the biggest mistakes men make is centering their entire life around a woman. Ironically, that often weakens attraction. Women are drawn toward men who have purpose beyond the relationship. Men whose lives are already full. Men who are building something meaningful. Selective attention matters. When your attention is valuable, it becomes meaningful. Imagine you have goals, friends, projects, fitness, purpose. You enjoy talking to her, but your world doesn't stop when she leaves the room. She notices. And suddenly she starts texting first, checking in, sharing random details, finding reasons to connect, not because you played games, because your attention became scarce. Scarcity creates value. If this is making sense so far, hit subscribe and join the Stoic Way community. It helps more men learn what they were never taught. Now let's go deeper. The fourth thing women do when they love you madly is they remember how you make them feel seen. And that comes through intentional listening. Most people listen to respond. Very few listen to understand. When a woman feels genuinely understood, something powerful happens emotionally. Trust expands, connection deepens, love grows. Intentional listening means remembering details, not because you're trying to impress her, because you care. Maybe she casually mentions her favorite childhood movie. 3 weeks later, you reference it naturally. Maybe she tells you she's nervous about an important meeting. You ask about it afterward, not because you had to, because you remembered. Those moments seem small. They're not. Psychologically, they communicate something profound. I see you. Human beings crave that feeling, especially in relationships. When she realizes you notice the details others miss, her emotional investment increases. People remember those who remember them. The fifth thing women do when they love you deeply is they become curious about your inner world. This is where calibrated vulnerability becomes important. Many men swing to extremes. Either they reveal nothing or they reveal everything. Neither works. Calibrated vulnerability means sharing something real without collapsing into victimhood. It means opening a door instead of unloading the entire house. Women connect emotionally through authenticity, not perfection. Suppose she asks about a difficult period in your life. Instead of pretending you've never struggled, you tell the truth. You explain what happened, what you learned, how you grew. Notice the difference. You're not asking her to rescue you. You're showing depth. Strength isn't pretending pain never existed. Strength is carrying it wisely. This creates emotional intimacy, because now she sees the man behind the image, and that's where real connection begins. Confidence plus honesty is powerful. The sixth thing women do when they love you madly is they seek physical closeness. Not necessarily dramatic displays, often subtle ones. A hand on your arm, sitting closer, leaning into conversations, finding excuses to touch. Physical connection matters because human beings are wired for it. Research consistently shows that appropriate, respectful touch influences bonding through chemicals like oxytocin. The key word is respectful, always. Gradual physical touch creates comfort, safety, warmth. Imagine walking beside her. You gently guide her around a crowd with a light touch on her back. Nothing forced. Nothing excessive, just natural, comfortable, human. When attraction and trust already exist, these moments become emotionally significant. Women who love you often seek those moments themselves because closeness feels rewarding. Connection grows through contact. Now we arrive at the seventh thing. and this one changes everything. Women who love you madly become fascinated by controlled unpredictability, not chaos, not inconsistency, not emotional games. Controlled unpredictability. There's a huge difference. The human brain responds strongly to rewarding uncertainty, partly because dopamine is deeply connected to anticipation. When outcomes are completely predictable, excitement drops. When outcomes are uncertain but positive, interest increases. Think about your favorite movie. If you knew every scene before watching, the excitement would disappear. Relationships work similarly. Many men accidentally eliminate mystery. Every text arrives instantly. Every thought is shared immediately. Every action becomes predictable. The emotional experience becomes flat. Controlled unpredictability means maintaining your own rhythm, your own life, your own sense of spontaneity. Maybe you suggest an unexpected weekend activity. Maybe you tell her you'll call later and then surprise her with a thoughtful voice note instead. Maybe you pursue your goals so consistently that she never quite knows what exciting thing you're working on next. Notice what's happening. You're not creating anxiety, you're creating curiosity, and curiosity is emotional fuel. Women often think most about the men who continue revealing new layers over time. Mystery sustains attraction. Now here's what most men misunderstand. These 7 behaviors are not tricks. They're not manipulation. They're not shortcuts. They're signals, responses, consequences. Women don't do these things because you learned a clever technique. They do them because your behavior creates emotional experiences that naturally inspire affection. That's why some men seem effortlessly attractive. Not because they're perfect, because they're communicating the right signals. Think about what we've covered: masculine presence, grounded energy, emotional challenge, playful polarity, selective attention, a purposeful life, intentional listening, making her feel seen, calibrated vulnerability, authentic depth, gradual physical touch, respectful closeness, controlled unpredictability, healthy mystery. Each one activates something deeper than surface attraction. Each one speaks to emotional needs that often remain invisible. And here's something important. You do not need all 7 immediately. You don't need perfection. You don't need flawless confidence. You don't need movie star looks. You need awareness. You need intention. You need strategy. Most men spend years trying to become someone else. A better approach is learning how attraction actually works. Because once you understand the psychology, your behavior changes naturally. You stop seeking approval. You start creating connection. You stop chasing certainty. You start embodying value. You stop wondering whether you're enough. You start recognizing what already makes you valuable. Remember what I told you earlier. This was never your fault. Nobody taught you this. Most men were taught how to work hard, how to provide, how to endure. Few were taught how emotional attraction actually develops. Few were taught how women perceive presence, confidence, mystery, and connection. And because of that, many good men assume something is wrong with them. There isn't. You were simply missing the map. Now you have it. Use these ideas with respect. Use them intentionally. Use them to build genuine relationships, real tools, not tricks. Because manipulation always collapses eventually. Authenticity lasts. Women can sense the difference. When your confidence is real, they feel it. When your purpose is genuine, they notice it. When your attention is valuable, they appreciate it. When your listening is sincere, they remember it. When your vulnerability is honest, they trust it. When your touch is respectful, they welcome it. When your life contains healthy mystery, they become curious about it. And suddenly, something shifts. You no longer feel desperate for validation. You no longer obsess over every text message. You no longer analyze every interaction. Instead, you become calmer, stronger, more grounded, more attractive. Not because you're pretending, because you're finally operating from understanding instead of confusion. That's the transformation. Not getting the girl, becoming the man who walks into a room without needing approval, the man who listens deeply, the man who leads with purpose, the man who creates emotional safety without losing strength, the man who respects women while respecting himself. That man doesn't chase endlessly. That man attracts naturally. And the best part? You can start becoming him today. One conversation at a time, one decision at a time, one habit at a time. No perfection required, just awareness, just growth, just intention. Because the truth is simple. The men women fall hardest for are rarely the loudest, rarely the flashiest, rarely the most desperate for attention. They're usually the men who understand human nature, the men who understand emotional connection, the men who quietly embody value. Become that man, and everything begins to change. If you're ready to stop chasing and start becoming the man women genuinely desire, subscribe to The Stoic Way now. Turn on notifications because the next one will shift your reality again.